So the program that is going to get underway here in a moment or so is very much centered around a very special expedition that was done through Big Brothers Big Sisters. But I just want to touch one moment. Many of you have been to the flower show over the years. And the flower show is extremely important. In fact, I would argue it's one of those real gems of Philadelphia. What you may not know is that PHS, Pennsylvania Horticultural Society, is soon to celebrate their 200th anniversary in just a few years. And I've got to witness the work that they do well beyond the flower show. Just this past year, PHS planted upwards of about 10,000 trees just here in Philadelphia. They've cleaned up upwards of about 11,000 parks and just barren land. And the reason that that's important is that there's a lot of neighborhoods in Philadelphia that are in absolute dire need. And when you visit a little plot of land that was otherwise just blight, where now neighbors and others in that locale are responsible for the cleaning up, the plantings, to say that there's pride is an absolute understatement. And like great organizations, PHS is no different. We may have their CEO come by, Matt Rader, just an exceptionally great leader here in the city. And quite frankly, when you hear our new mayor speak, Mayor Sherelle Parker, who, boy, we have truly elected somebody unbelievably special. When she says that she wants to make Philadelphia the safest, the greenest, the cleanest in the country, she means it. But quite frankly, the work that PHS does is intertwined there incredibly. So we're in our 12th year of sponsoring PHS and the Flower Show. We're partnered with another great Philadelphia gem, IBX, Independence Blue Cross. And so none of this, and please note, none of this is possible without the great trust and confidence of our clients. And so thank you on behalf of all of my colleagues. Appreciate you being here on a Saturday morning. Delighted that we have rain and not snow. With that, we're going to get the program started, and it gives me great pleasure, again, talking about great leaders. I've got a great leader right here in Marcus Allen, who's the CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters. But every great leader, every great organization relies on strong board of directors. And we have a number of the individuals that are board members of Big Brothers Big Sisters, but one who has shown incredible leadership, practices what he preaches, is none other than Stephen Smith. And Stephen, I want to welcome you to the stage. You're on the stage, but I want to welcome you even closer to the stage. Stephen Smith.
Thank you, Jim. Thanks to Bank of America for giving us all the opportunity to do this. A special thanks to Jim and Lynn, who we have a lot to say about Jim and Lynn. You'll hear especially about them in a little bit. And to Marcus Allen, our CEO, who gave me a 15-minute warning that I'll be speaking to you this morning, which made sure that I would not prepare and also clearly not dress for a presentation this morning. But what we hope to share with you this morning is a little bit of a story that began actually with a bike ride across America with Gary Jonas, one of our board members, and Marcus, our CEO, and a supporter of Big Brothers Big Sisters. So they did this thing, and then it became, what next? What do we do to raise awareness and raise money for this organization? Then Gary and Marcus and another board member said to me, hey, we want to do something that's kind of another big adventure. So I said, well, let's talk about it. What do you have in mind? And they came up with a couple ideas, and I said, let's hear more. And then they said, we want to go for a hike, a long hike, a pretty long hike, and a high hike. And I said, well, tell us more. And I said, okay, but let's try and make it bigger. And they said, well, let's invite a bunch of board members. I said, yeah, that sounds like a good idea, but let's try and make it bigger. And what culminated from that is in December of 2022, 19 of us literally climbed a mountain. We flew to Africa with the intent to raise money and raise awareness for a community of children that we care so much about. And we did that, but we did it in a way that changed all of us. All 19 of us came away as different people, and we did it in a way that not just helped us understand the organization and the mission of Big Brothers Big Sisters, but also helped us understand the real power that we have for each other in mentoring and being vulnerable to being mentored, to understand perseverance, community, and partnership. And that's just a little part of the story that we want to tell you this morning. And it's also not just 19 of us, it's about the over 100 people who helped us get to the top of that mountain, and what they meant to us and what we hope to share with you, and hope that you'll be inspired to share to the community as well. With that, Marcus?
Thank you, Stephen, and thank you, Jim. My job is easy. I'm here to do some thank yous and just a couple acknowledgments here. One, I want to give a huge thank you and acknowledgement to one of our board members, or former board members, who's not here today, couldn't join us, but her and her company were the presenting sponsors for this amazing adventure we went on. And Donna Higgins, she, if you know Donna, you know there's nothing Donna won't do or try. And so Donna and I were having a conversation about what was next, and Donna had this idea that she had seen this done by a life science company in Boston, that they had did a fundraiser and they climbed the Kilimanjaro. And I said, well, Donna, you know, I've never climbed a mountain, but I've never even hiked before, so I don't know how I'm 6'7", 270 pounds. I don't know how to do that. And like in typical Donna fashion, she's very convincing. And she began talking to the board members and decided that this was going to be the thing that she was going to champion. And so her and her company got behind this to be the presenting for this event. And not only was she so enthusiastic about supporting this event, it became our most effective and profitable fundraiser we've ever done. We raised over $560,000 to support over 300 kids in our program. So give Donna Higgins a big round of applause. This also wouldn't be possible without the support of Bank of America and Jim Dever and Lynn Dever and their leadership. Really, those of you who know Jim know he's probably the most positive, oriented person you're going to meet. This gathering here this morning came together about 6 days ago. Jim and I are at an event, and I'm there to support Jim and Bank of America, and all of a sudden Jim said, we got to do something. And he put this together in the course of like 7 minutes. And I came back to my team, Gina DeColi, who's our VP of Marketing and Events, raise your hand. I came back to Gina, give her a round of applause. I came back to Gina, I said, Gina, we gotta do this event. And she's 3 weeks in, like she just started. She's like, is this how you guys do stuff here? But when it comes to people like Jim Dever and partners like that, it's not something you can always prepare for. Like sometimes opportunities come in life that you could have never planned for. And today, this morning, we would not be here enjoying one another's company had it not been for our good friend, Jim Dever. So let's give Jim a big round of applause as well. So I'm gonna come back later on, but what I also wanna do is I'm gonna introduce this video. This is a video that was shot by one of our supporters. I guess Abi is he a porter? Was he a porter? Like he was just there to be the videographer and the photographer, but he was so much more. And so we didn't know what to expect when, like, you know, we see this guy, he said, I'm gonna be here, and this dude was on rocks. Like we would be like a mile away, and Jim was like, look over there in the corner, he's over there filming and stuff. And so I think you're gonna really like this video. It's really special to all of us. And Wilfred, I just want to say thank you. I definitely want to say thank you to you. Wilfred is going to come up right after the video, and you're going to get a chance to hear from someone. Well, actually, before Wilfred comes up, Mike Denda is going to come up to introduce Wilfred. But I do want to say thank you to Wilfred, because Wilfred, your leadership has been the glue that has held us together. Your leadership inspired all 19 of us to summit Kilimanjaro. And so I want to make sure in this thank you and acknowledgement moment that we thank you for your leadership. So let's give Wilfred a big round of applause as well. That being said, we're going to do the video, and then the next voice you'll hear will be Mike Denda. It's awesome to be in Africa.
Off we go, and we trace our way to the bottom of the mountain, and then we got to use those exercises we've been doing all the time for the last 4 months. Let's get going.
We're climbing this mountain for kids.
We are doing this because we love Big Brothers and we love adventure.
My entire family is here.
The core reason for this climb is we want to raise $500,000 or more.
I know intimately how much one person can make a difference in someone's life.
This was an opportunity to do something special for this organization.
And we know that helping 300 kids in the way that we help them, because our goal is that every kid graduates from high school with a plan for their future.
I decided to join this group because I support their cause, even though I love children, I have children, and I say all the children, they need attention.
Learning about this trip and learning about its mission related to Big Brothers Big Sisters Independence was enough for us to consider doing it. And I know for a fact that there are many, many needy children that would benefit so much. So that was enough for me, and it got me excited.
It's been a powerful experience to be in a group of 20 people that a couple I know, but most I don't really know.
You know, I made the decision to do this. I trained hard. I knew it would be hard. The hardest thing is actually sleeping in the tent in cold weather.
We go around on the right, yes, because the summit is on the right side.
One of the things that I think I would take away from this is, watching Wilfred and the way that he manages this very complex group of people going up a mountain, which can be very dangerous. I think it impacts my thinking about leadership and my own leadership when I go back. May the road rise with you.
It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. It's the hardest thing I've ever done.
I never had any sense that it would be this hard.
I felt exhausted in every way possible, physically, emotionally, psychologically.
Keep on moving, you're doing great. Getting to Stella Point.
If I knew then what I know now, I would have definitely been a financial supporter, but I probably am not here.
Yes, what an accomplishment. 8 days. "100% of our climbers, 19 climbers, made it to the top of the mountain and back. We had to get up there, but then we had to come down. Thank you, buddy. Thought about the 19 people who sacrificed to make this trip happen.
This is something I'll be proud of forever and ever and ever and ever, and looking forward to sharing the experience with my children, also my grandchildren. It's like a big thing for me.
Oh, it made the whole thing worth it. Oh my God, it was breathtaking. It was just so perfect. Come on, where can you do something like that? It was pretty special.
Bring this mic down if I can. Marcus is 6'7" and I'm 5'7", so there's a big difference. But we're brothers no matter. It's really amazing to see that after being removed from it for a year, and how still so moving it is, and how inspirational it was for us. And at one point in that video, Wilfred said something that really is emblematic, and I think it's the tagline for Wilfred Moshi. And I have the the distinction, the privilege to introduce our great leader. So what he said there for a moment, if you heard him, was keep moving forward. And if there was a mantra that I could think of for Wilfred, it would be keep moving forward. Wilfred is a native Tanzanian, and he started his career on Mount Kilimanjaro, his professional career, if you will, as a porter. You know, it would probably be what we know in America as a Sherpa in the Himalayas, a porter carrying 50, you saw some of the pictures in the video, 50 to plus pounds on your head, on your back, up the mountain for the people that you were helping to get to the summit. And he did this for various trekking companies over the years. And after a period of time, he kept moving forward in his life. And he trained and became a certified guide. Then he became an assistant guide. And then, of course, through this theme of moving forward, Wilfred became, you would expect, the head guide for a period of time. And through this experience, as he began to shepherd people up the mountain, he started to envision and think about a different type of guide company. And he didn't stop there. He kept moving forward, and he thought about an expedition or a trekking or a guide company where clients from all walks of life, from all over the world, could connect before the expedition around a common cause, a cause that meant something to them, their mountain, so to speak. And he did that weeks, months before the actual expedition. And then on the mountain, he took that group of people and their cause, their personal mountain or their group mountain or cause, and he connected them with his mountain, Mount Kilimanjaro. And he did that in a very special, and I would dare say even a spiritual way, through interaction with each individual and through our shared interaction as teammates, with the guides, with the porters, with Wilfred himself, and we really became family on that mountain. And you would have to experience it to truly understand it. And on that mountain, in the process, we learned various lessons. You heard Kara, one of our climbers, mentioned a lesson in leadership. But it was not only leadership, it was lessons in going outside of your comfort zone, resilience, perseverance. So again, under this theme of moving forward, Wilfred again hasn't stopped there. He formed his company, Kili Trek, in 2012, guided people up the mountain, and at this juncture has almost taken 1,000 individuals, people like us on the stage here, up to the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro with a 96% success rate. And he's done that with, yep. And in the process, we were able to, and all those individuals were able to practice those lessons, learn those lessons, and really grow in the process as they made that pilgrimage to the top of Kilimanjaro. He's even, and he can tell you who, he's even taken a few celebrities up there, supposedly. Bigger than Marcus, even though Marcus is a big celebrity. But that's not enough for Wilfred. He always is thinking, he's very entrepreneurial, and again, into the spirit of this theme of moving forward, he's taken his life work, his dreams, his passions, and quite frankly, his mountaineering skills to multiple continents. And he has conquered, I think, 3 or 4 of the 7 largest summits across the world, including climbing in Russia, and he was the first Tanzanian, and perhaps the only, he can tell you that, who has summited Mount Everest, and which is really a remarkable feat. And his next move forward, as he'll talk about, is some other adventures, a mission where he's going to trek across Greenland, hundreds of miles in the cold, with a small group of people over the next coming months. And really it's about taking those things that he's learned on the mountain and taking that mission to on a larger scale to not only the porters and the guides that work for him, the clients that have climbed with him, but also the Tanzanian people as he expands his mission. So that's the background on Wilfred. We're fortunate to have him here in the States, and without further ado, I'd like to introduce my friend and our leader, Wilfred Moshi.
Was this you, Mike? Or how can I make it?
Somewhere in between.
All right. Take it off. All right. Right. how this works. Maybe a backpack on a mountain will. Thank you very much, everyone, and thank you. I'll say in general, everyone, because I had to mention everybody's name now. I feel emotional. I look at this video. Sometimes it's so natural to me that I probably won't be able to say the things I've been saying on a mountain, but as I've been introduced, my name is Wilfred Moshi, born and raised in Tanzania, at the foothill of a mountain. Coincidentally, my name just paired with the town I live. Whether my great-great-fathers, they invented the town or they want to first dwell there, I wasn't sure. But I feel so proud of what I'm doing, and it has taken me to different levels of life and meeting different people around the world. And I don't know where to say whether I'm proud or I feel like I've changed so many people's life. I have been able to go around with different type of people from different professions. I can pick one particular person, Lynn, as a doctor. She would freak out or think she has a pain on her chest, thinking she's gonna collapse right there. And this easy guy who has never been in a medical school, have some first aid courses, say, oh, you're gonna be fine. But I feel like I've changed so many people's lives, and I'm so proud of that. So as Michael introduced me I started as a porter, worked my way up as a guide, which in the beginning, it was happening as a way to earn money. I couldn't go to school, so I found something alternative I could do. And as a porter, worked my way up through friends and hard working. Then I came to like what I was doing and what I'm doing now, because it took me to different places around the world, and so happy that I was able to become one of the first few people, or one of the only person in my country to have summited Mount Everest. As Michael didn't say, I'm the second from the first South African to have summited Mount Everest. And that was about 12 years ago. That took me to Russia, where it definitely has taken me to a different level, to about learning culture and learning different things. I would walk down the streets in Russia, and my guide would tell me, they're talking about you, don't look at them. I was like, wow, I've never been feared of life like I was in Russia. I was like, wow, it's beautiful, but yeah, I've been told not to look around because they're talking about you and you don't want to get in trouble with them. So, but that's a learning curve, and I like the way it happened, because before I decided to go to Everest, the idea popped up about 4 or 5 years ago, in 2008, and then it was a Pan-African Everest climb idea from the first South African mountain person. And me looking around to try to raise funds as a Tanzanian, as African, as a person who comes right 3 degrees off equator. I've never been in a coldest temperature apart from top of Kilimanjaro. I was turned down so big time, and I was like, you're gonna die there. You have never been in that cold. It's not your thing. This is American, European, African, no go up in the mountain. So don't do that. You never even get sponsored, because you're gonna fail. So that's what exactly I was being told. So that drove me so strongly and wanted to do this thing, nevertheless. And it drove me so strong that I'm living this community today that everyone believes there are things being made for specific kind of people around the world. And I wanted to prove that it's not like that. Anyone who has strong drive, is persevered to do things, and they can stand out and tell the community that these things are possible to achieve. And through working with the different people, leading them up on Mount Kilimanjaro, I usually get emotional, even today. And I could tell, I saw some people and I'll cry myself. Not because I feel so sorry for them, but I have been living and seeing them, how much they struggle to get up on the mountain and how much it means to them. Local people will ask me, my friends down below the mountain ask me, like, are you sure there's nothing these people are taking out of that mountain? They gotta be gold or something. And I say nothing. They usually even try to die out there because there's nothing. They struggle to go out on the mountain, but it's about learning about getting out of a comfort zone. So I say, how do they pay money to struggle, to suffer? And it's like, you don't get it. It's not about it's not about paying money to struggle. It's about trying to move out of your comfort zone and learn about new things and meeting friends. And this group, I'll genuinely say, stood out of all the groups I've led up on Mount Kilimanjaro. I've led so many groups, from working with the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, doing research on the mountain. I've worked with our Summit on the Summit, where I was with Jessica Bill, Emil Hesh. This group stood out because of the unification that played out during the whole time of the trip. That how would you talk on this table on a second day of your climb? You're talking of a bowel movement. Like last night, I had to go so many times. Like, you come out, and these people, they're talking of that kind of stuff. Shit stuff on the table. Second day at breakfast. And how do you do that? And we talk about unification. It's like, you don't know one another, but there's something that unites you. Beside the big goal here you're all doing together, you have something that puts you together. And it doesn't matter by then. No internet. You don't have to Google to ask the question. Someone better have an answer to whatever you're looking at. And there is a wide variation of our discussion out there. So that drove me to continue to like what I'm doing. And I would say, Steven asked me the other day, how long are you going to do this? And say, well, I don't know if I'm going to do past 50, but I still want to hang on it because I meet so many different people. And I feel so proud when I touch them in a different ways in life. So that was me trying to raise funds, and luckily I was able to touch other people's life from America, from Europe, and I was sponsored to go to Mount Everest. It was a trip of a lifetime, and I can talk this whole day here about what happened there and what things I was so scared about. There were many times, like this guy, I wanted to give up. They now joking me like, Wilfred, you lied to us so many times. It's 5 minutes, and it's never 5 minutes. And it's like, oh, this is still a point. It's just around the corner. We'll be at the summit. And most of them, they're about to give up so many times. But it helped them to move on and learn about these things. And now they can stand here so proud of what they've achieved in their life. And so is me. I can stand here before you guys and say, this is me from Africa, from Ecuador there. I've summited Mount Everest. And thank God that I have all my ligaments and everything. I didn't lose a thing. But I still want to go on a different platform and even higher to inspire more people, young people, my countrymen, because they have this belief of going just within the country and learn about new things. So I've been in America now for a month, and early February, for the first time in my life, and this is again, we're talking about trying new things, getting out of a comfort zone. For the first time in my life, I was in skis. And I did pretty good job. I did cross-country skis in Ely. That's a town up Minnesota. We were camping out on the frozen lake for about a week time, and it was fascinating. I mean, starting fire on a frozen lake, camping on a frozen lake, learning all this. I mean, I've done camping before, so there was not much of a new things, but we're talking of cold condition. So the training was about to go to Greenland. And this is me looking at the very big picture. I've been reading books around early explorers like Ernest Shackleton and you name, from early in 1800, and that has been inspiring me so much that I would like to have this going farther and farther, because I would like the society to have the picture that these things are not made for specific people. And Africans as general, we have not been so much going outside the world and see what's out there. It's been so much about America, Europe, and they have been like going around the world to see these places. And I want to portray this image that these things can be achieved with determination, with support of friends around you, like this guy did. They supported each one another. There was one particular person going to the summit, and she had a really, really hard time. And Michael and Max and some of the other people, they did a tremendous job. And that's what we mean about teamwork, friendship. And it can be one of you around here and wanting to go to Kilimanjaro, and you don't want another, but the moment that you feel someone is up for you to achieve your goal, to go into this new height, a new table, like you feel like I have someone around me and I can trust everybody around me. So training in Ely was about to go to Greenland, and I have not known anyone from Africa, from Tanzania, who has crossed Greenland, but Greenland is my stepping stone to go to South Pole. So I have this big picture. I will ski to South Pole, to the last degree, in one time in my life. And I hope the Greenland trip will mature. And this will be a good training for me to go to South Pole. Whether solo or with a group, I'm up for it, because we'll see what the Greenland will do for me, because I'm always ready for new adventure and learn about new things. And I'm meeting all these people I've never known in my life. I've not met them, apart from the first time I've seen them in during training in Ely. And we are friends now, that for that short time, we're like sharing tent. I mean, I can give you a good example about Everest. And at Camp 3 and Camp 4, you have to share a tent with someone you have never met in life. You have known them for 1 month. And you cannot come out of the tent to go out to do number one, number two. Number one, you have to do in a bottle. Number two, you have to do in a work bag. You have to do in the tent vestibule. The only thing that separates you is the tent net. So you have a tent mate go out, do the thing, close the bag, and sit there. And you're in the tent. And he comes out, you go again. So you can imagine, it's disgusting, but in the end, it's like, what is important here? My life is important than just to worry about these things in life. If I go out, I'm going to slide off the mountain, and I'm done. But I have to just live with it, and then our friendship bonds forever, of which we are. So the whole group of Everest, we are still talking to one another. We got together. We have a Zoom call every year when we have an anniversary about Everest Expedition Summit, and we talk about one another, share about future expeditions and things like that. And this can be one of you here that you want to do, maybe not Everest, maybe Kilimanjaro, maybe safari, and you want to treat yourself. This guy treat themselves with safari after Kilimanjaro, and that's something really everybody talked about, because it was kind of unwinding whatever hardship they've been going through and share the story of what happened, how much crazy it was about to summit Kilimanjaro. So thank you, everyone, and I hope I've been trying to raise funds for my Greenland expedition, and I hope I'll come up with the money. It's about $25,000, and I'll be around for anyone who feel driven to do something, and we can share more information and talk about it. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and wishing all the best.
Great job. Thank you. All right, that was amazing. And just to put a fine point, Wilfred is raising money so that he can go to Greenland and traverse an icy mass of, 350 miles or so?
370 miles.
370 miles, where he's going to be cross-country skiing, pulling about 180 pounds of the stuff that he has to carry with him, and the temperature goes from what to what?
From 0 Fahrenheit to minus 40.
0 Fahrenheit to minus 40. And so we, as a group, has come together and said we want to support him in his trek and his journey. So at the end of this, if any of you are interested in talking to Wilfred, helping to support him, giving him ideas of how he can complete this, we would definitely enjoy you having that conversation with Wilfred.
Thank you.
But for now, we're going to move into the next part of this. We're going to spend about 20 minutes on a quick panel discussion, a little fireside chat with some of the climbers, and then we'll open it up for the last 5 minutes for any questions that any of you may have. Do we have a second microphone so that when we do that, we can put it out in the crowd? Do we have a second microphone? All right, do we have microphones for these people up here? Okay, all right, we'll talk loud and you guys will be able to hear us. All right, so, and also, before I forget, some of you may not know what Big Brothers Big Sisters is, so let me just give that commercial real quick. Big Brothers Big Sisters is an organization that helps help kids thrive in life. We do that by placing a caring, compassionate adult in the life of a child. Our goal with that is to ensure that every kid graduates from high school with a plan for their future and a mentor whose impact lasts a lifetime. We're serving right now 7 counties in this region. We serve Philadelphia, Montgomery, Delaware, and Chester counties in Pennsylvania. We serve Burlington, Camden, and Gloucester in New Jersey. Quick plug, we are looking for bigs, mentors. We have about 750 kids on our waiting list. We are always looking for those folks who say, hey, Marcus, I got a couple hours, 2 to 4 hours a month that I could spare to work with a child. We found in this program, I've been a big for 6 years now, that you don't have to change your life to change the life of a child. As a matter of fact, most of our bigs tell us that they get more out of the relationship than they believe their little gets. And so if any of you are interested, we have staff here in the room. Raise your hand if you're a staff person. Those people who have their hands raised, if you're interested in learning more about Big Brothers Big Sisters, please see us because we love to talk to you about our mission. All right, so now we'll get to the panel discussion. What I'm gonna ask is, if you're like a couple, I want you to sit together. So Jim and Lynn, I want you together, Stephen, Ellen, Gary, or Mike and Sejal. No. So I'm just gonna jump right in. And I want to start with, and just so everyone knows who's up here, let's just go real quick, 30-second about who you are. So we'll start with Mike, and we'll go all the way to the end.
So this is on to where we're okay. Michael Dinda. I am a banker with First Trust Bank in Philadelphia, and was introduced to Big Brothers Big Sister by one of their board members, Gary Jonas.
Hi, I'm Lynn Dever. I'm a retired pediatrician. I met Marcus through my husband, Jim, and he put the idea of climbing Mount Kilimanjaro probably a year before it happened. And when I retired, it was my bucket list of dreams to do.
You all know me, Jim Dever, Bank of America, and
I think I had my...
It doesn't matter. It's for the video.
Oh, I think I had my introduction as well. Stephen Smith, board member. I took my whole family up with me because I was pretty much told I was not doing this alone.
Hi, I'm Ellen Kurtz. I'm married to Stephen, and I'm a retired criminologist.
Gary Jonas. I am a board member for Big Brothers and a good friend of Marcus's.
Sejal Jonas. I'm married to Gary. I'm a pharmacist, and I've always wanted to climb Kilimanjaro.
Claire Laurent, I'm a biotech investor, and I got very inspired by Donna Higgins, who is a strong character on the team here.
Hi, I'm Seth Mackler. I'm also a banker with First Trust. I work with Michael. I decided to go up on the climb because Gary, who's a good client of mine, asked me if I wanted to go hiking. Next thing I know, I'm going up a mountain.
All right, so what we're going to have to do, we're going to have to use this mic because they can't hear, right? Because I know that mic's good for the video, but they can't hear what they're saying. I think that's great. Okay, all right, great. All right, so I'm going to give you the mic when I ask you the question. So I'm going to start with Jim and Lynn. Jim and Lynn, as a family, like you guys have done, I'm sure, a lot of stuff together. Like, how does this experience rank in terms of experiences during your marriage? And what has changed since you got back from Kilimanjaro?
So I would say we, in a week or so, we'll be celebrating our 45th anniversary from our first date. Wow. And 40 years married in September. And this, spending 7 nights? Was it 7 nights? Together in a tent that could barely fit him was definitely an adventure, but I would not trade it for the world. I think it's like the best thing anybody ever could do as a couple or in a relationship, because it's real. And before I start crying because of how wonderful it was, pass it on.
Thank you. Really is. It's one of those things, I think, Wilfred said that it's hard to explain that, you paid money to do this. It was the most challenging thing I would say that we've ever done, and it has changed my life and changed our life forever. So in that vein, it was absolutely and is just priceless.
Same question to the other two couples?
Well, I would say first off that I think we're catching up to you at 35 years, maybe something like that, together. And I would say that this is an adventure to do with somebody who you're okay seeing you at your best, and at least in my case, being seen at your very worst, because it was all the struggle that you'll hear from us. But we also went up with our 2 children, and the treasure of spending that time with them is life-changing. And I think for them too, who got a chance to see their parents again at their very best and also at their most vulnerable, taught us all lessons that we'll carry with us forever.
Yeah, I mean, I would say if you're going to do it with your partner, make sure your foundation is very strong before you go, because you're going to be challenged in ways Steve's not tall like Jim, but sharing a tent with another person, if you've never done that before, is just incredibly difficult. But, we all survived. It was amazing. We came down with, 17 new best friends. So more than that, because Wilfred and the staff were just amazing. So anyhow.
I would say Sejal and I have never done anything where we had to go out and struggle together to get through something. And it was really cool to watch, like, how does Sejal react in this situation? How do I react in this situation? And the story we tell is we went on this trip for 8 days, stayed in a tent together, didn't get to take a shower, just some really miserable stuff that you had to go through, and didn't get in one fight in 8 days. We got on the plane, first class ride home, fought the whole way home. So being on the mountain and the singular focus that comes with that is a great relationship builder, is what I would say.
That is 100% true. I don't know what to say after that. I guess I agree with Gary. I agree with everyone. It's nice. I think we're pretty independent individuals ourselves, and then when you're on that mountain, right, you lean on someone, and it kind of brings you back to your roots of, okay, why do we like each other? What do we, how can I help you? How can he help me? It was nice to have someone to lean on when you're so used to doing things on your own, and you're like, okay, I've got this, or you've got me. So that was kind of what I learned.
Wilfred, I'm gonna have you sit there. All right, so these are couples, and then we had many of us who went on the mountain solo, but then there was another couple, so we shared the 3 married couples, and then we had the husband-wife work team, and Mike, and so one of the things that First Trust really got behind this experience, and we thought we had our entire team. And so we were having this event at Pyramid Club to announce the launch, and 2 guys show up from First Trust. And we're just like, I'm thinking we already have who's gonna go on the trip. And these 2 guys said, hey, we wanna go. And I said, well, there's a premium, there's a lot of money to do this trip. And then the other thing that every one of these people did, they raised money. And these 2 gentlemen showed up, and it was like, we want to do this. And I asked one of them, I asked Mike, I said, Mike, or have you trained? Because we had already known about this for 7 or 8 months, so we were training for this. And Mike said to me, I've been training for this my whole life. And so I wanted to talk to Seth and Mike about what this meant from a leadership perspective. Like climbing this mountain, like what principles, what learnings are you taking back to your organization, your company, that you're gonna elevate the people around you with?
I think the thing for me was setting a goal, because I had never hiked before. I never climbed anything. I wasn't in very good shape. I was afraid of heights. This guy climbs. That's what he does. He climbs mountains. I didn't do that. So I had a clear plan. I trained very hard, and wrote down what my goals were, and I knew failure wasn't an option. So, you know, having a mindset of what you're going to do, writing it down, and following and executing that plan, that works. And I took that back, and we did a talk for a lot of the folks back at First Trust, and they were inspired by it, and they felt it helped them, that they could kind of emulate that and do, you know, in normal day-to-day things.
Thanks, honey. For lessons in leadership, I think the key lesson for me was, and the reason I did it, was resilience. As Seth mentioned, I do a little bit of climbing. I had a little bit of more experience than the other teammates back here domestically. And when I heard about it, I was very interested in it because I wanted to expand some of those endeavors. Because I'm a big believer in life that you have to put yourself in uncomfortable positions to adapt, be resourceful, learn, and grow. And if you don't do that in life, and we all are seeking more and more comforts through technology and so forth, I think you get stagnant, and I think you can plateau. So as a leader, it taught me a lot about personal resilience and how important resilience and perseverance is, whether it's in your family life, in your personal life, or your professional life. But there was another theme too, and it ties into Big Brothers Big Sisters, because that was the cause that we all rallied around. And it's a cause very much dedicated, as Marcus so eloquently mentioned, to mentorship and guiding and coaching young people who are disadvantaged or disenfranchised for different reasons. And here we are, a group of people successful in our own professions, going over to Africa to raise money for this cause around mentorship. And then we find ourselves really in an uncomfortable position and suddenly having to rely upon the beautiful Tanzanian people and the porters and the guides who ended up mentoring and coaching us up the mountain. And I think it was just a reminder that in an organization, in a family, and in life, in your community, that mentorship is critically important. And it can go across the team in all different ways, from the top down and from the bottom up. And I think they were the two main lessons that I came away with, Marcus.
Excellent. Thank you, Mike. And the other thing is, I think each and every one of you had different challenges, and we were at different stages in our lives, whether that was family, career, whatever it was. And I got a chance to sit with a young lady, Claire, on a plane ride over. And, immediately we started bonding, and Claire started talking about a transition she was going through in her life. And it made me think about, did this experience provide you clarity in some of the decisions you had to make? And if so, any you'd like to share?
Thank you, Marcus. So yeah, for me, this happened in my life at a perfect time. There are ups and downs, and I was in a down. I've been very privileged in my life. I have good education, coming from good family. I'm European background, been adopted in the US. And so I was a time when I've been through a few personal, I'm no longer happily married, and I've had a change in job, and this opportunity to come French and fresh on a challenge with folks I didn't know, but it turned out we had so much in common. Revealed to me that really the values that you track with and you fight for and you put energy in is the key. I had lost that a little bit in my personal travel, even though I think I do work on important projects and I have great friends and I have a great family, and I'm very lucky. In the meantime, I had lost a little bit about what it was really about, and I think what it's really about, the key is the people, the quality of the relationship. Whatever you want to do, you really want to be real and be available, and also be able to rely on them. So we talked about leaning on each other. I've found in this group, and extended group with Wilfred and the Kili Trek and Tanzania in general, like a resource. And for me now, going forward, and that year after this project and other things that have happened and good development in my life, it's been revealing to me what was at the core, which should be obvious, but it's the people, right? What we do it for others or for ourselves, for humanity. So yeah, that was a big thing for me.
Thank you, Claire, and thanks for sharing. We have another 5 minutes, and then we're going to turn it over to the audience for questions. And this is just, I'm going to lob a question out there, and raise your hand if you want to take a stab at this. But there were so many amazing experiences on the mountain. And I'm wondering, is there an experience that you had that you thought was like life-changing for you, or something that was just so funny and hilarious that you'll never forget it? What is there something that you want to share with this audience? Mike, it sounds like looks like you have a example.
Two quick ones, and they both are about our wonderful leader, Wilfred. So we're on the final day, and the final day, people have to realize it's 19 hours long. You start literally at midnight and go almost the full day, 24 hours. To get to the summit push from 16,000, we went from 16,000 to 19,341. So you learn all these statistics when you're there. And it's a very long, arduous, challenging day as you go higher and higher into altitude and suffer more and more. But at one point on the way back, the mountain gets thinner and we're going on the thinner switchbacks. And one of our teammates who wasn't here that was mentioned earlier, Donna Higgins, was suffering very, very much in a way that we really got to the point where we thought that maybe Donna wasn't going to be able to make it and was going to have to take oxygen and go down. And at one point, Wilfred, she looked up at Wilfred, and I was there assisting her, and she's like, crying almost. She said to Wilfred, what do I do? And he gave her, and he looked down at her because he was the switchback above, gave her direct, forceful instruction as to what to do, how to handle it, commandeered a couple others of us to help her. And then, again, with his mantra, he looked at her directly and he said, keep moving. And it just was in that moment. He was the captain, he was the colonel, he was the general, and he had this strength and this leadership that really motivated you. And Donna had a ways to go, and she just kind of accepted his command, followed his instructions, and kept moving forward with assistance. And I think it was a really great example of leadership by this man in the moment. And then the other quick one is, we all had our moments on the mountain. My biggest problem, he was, taking his Ambien in there and sleeping in a tent. We're actually not a couple, we're just friends. But I couldn't sleep a wink all week, so sleep deprivation was my problem. And it finally, after making it to the summit and getting down and coming down through the dust and so forth, I had my moment. And I collapsed in my tent at the base camp, and I told Gary to get Wilfred because I was convinced that I had contracted COVID on the summit of the mountain. Wilfred comes into my tent finally to attend to me, and the first thing he says to me is, I'm like suffering there, coughing, choking. I had inhaled so much dust from the rock. That's what happened. And he came in, he looked around, he's like, Michael, your tent's a mess. And I said to him, well, I wasn't really expecting company. I was hoping that maybe you could help me. And again, he explained to me, he's like, you got dust, it's not COVID. He said, this is exactly what he said, pack your shit up and get down to 12,000 feet. He goes, the best thing you do is move to lower altitude. So they're my two stories.
I love it. We got 2 minutes. Anyone else?
Yeah, I think we all could share just story after story after story, and hopefully we'll continue to do that with each other for generations to come. A couple things that I'm just, as I look around the room and trying to think of a story that we didn't tell last night, because we were all together last night for a nice meal. One involves Jim, and Jim and I had met at a couple Big Brothers Big Sisters events before that, but I didn't really know Jim very well. And you're a group of 19 people, and we're trying to do different things and walk around with different people and get to know folks. And I just said, Jim, you want to walk for a little bit? And he goes, So we're walking and we're walking, you're just like endless. You're walking so slow, and I'm doing a lot of talking, and Jim's nodding, and I'm talking and talking and talking, and then at some point Jim just goes. He was sick. he had lost his voice, and I didn't know at the time. So I just, at the moment, I was thinking, I'm literally going to bore somebody to death on this mountain. I don't know what's happening. But what's amazing is that after that, I think it was the next morning, Jim shared something very personal that he and Lynn had been going through with a family member. And I thought, like, where else would this happen? In what other environment would you just open up to another person and share something like that? And it's one thing I'll never forget. On the flip side of that, Wilfred, as this amazing leader, always had this tremendous ability to know exactly what to say. Every one of us struggled at some point. Every one of us relied on somebody else at some point. And no matter what somebody was feeling, wanting to quit, wanting to stop, Wilfred has this uncanny ability to know exactly what to say, except once. And that was when we're just at the day before we're going to go on this 19-hour or so walk. And every day they would take our pulse, our oxygen level to make sure that we're healthy and able to go up the mountain, except on the last day, because we're so high up, and Wilfred knows, everybody's pulse is low, everybody's low on oxygen, we're not going to do that. Unfortunately, many of us have these things on our wrist, and it provides that information. So despite the best advice to not look at your watch, to not check your pulse, to not look at your oxygen level, of course I do that, and then I start freaking out. And so I'm talking to Ellen about it. She's like, you're freaking out. I've done all I can to help you. Talk to someone else. I talked to my kids.
I just like to say, I begged him. I said, do not take your oxygen. Don't do it. And he did it.
So then, my kids basically had the same advice, but even, with more brevity than that, if you can imagine. So they said, go talk to Wilfred. He'll know exactly what to say. So I talked to Wilfred, and he pulls me aside, and we're trying to have this quiet moment, and he's just trying to be really calming. And then he says, I think just part of it is, you're the board chair, and you probably feel a lot more responsibility for everybody and being okay. And I looked at him, and I thought, no, I don't care about anybody right now other than myself. And he just said, okay. And then he left the tent, and we prepared for the hike. So lots of experiences up there.
Awesome. Let's give everybody a round of applause. Before we end here today, any questions? I'll bring the mic to you. Raise your hand. You got a question?
Hi. Congratulations first on that significant accomplishment. Not sure if any of you spent time on the continent of Africa before this trek, but curious as to anything that you've walked away with after spending time in that continent, or specifically in Tanzania, culturally, or about just your experience on the continent.
So Baron, to that, I don't think we'd ever been to Africa really before, and the one thing that Morocco, but the one thing that really hit me, right? On the one hand, here we are trying to solve for children here in our own states, and in a place like Tanzania, which is one of the poorest countries within Africa, where no matter where you look, there is just blight. You think about farmland and animals and things, and it's just brown. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen so many animals where it's just skeleton, and where people are on motorcycles driving 50, 60 miles just for water. And yet it was the happiest people I think I've ever been around. And, I don't know what the lesson is exactly there, but I know it's something it's an indelible mark for me that will be for a lifetime, that when you're in a country like here in the U.S., which is plentiful in every single way, and we have bounties and excess of everything, and then you go to a place where literally porters, and Wilfred would tell you maybe differently, but maybe they're getting maybe $8 or $9 or $10 a day, if that, right? And I don't know of a job that's more arduous than that, and yet they made our day brighter every single day, not just by what they were doing, but the people that they are. So, Yeah, it's it's to me like that will never leave me. So.
All right, one more question. Elliot, you had a question?
Thank you for sharing your experience and for what you did for the power of mentoring. Just a show of hands, who's ready to do it again? Or who would do it again? Who would do another big adventure? All right.
As you can imagine, that's our chief development officer, so he's all about raising money. But what I'll say to end this, and I do implore you guys to come up and speak to the climbers, and particularly with Wilfred. Big Brothers Big Sisters, we're so honored to have been a part of this. What we represent by doing this climb and the big adventure is the adventure that all of our kids that we serve have in life. And so when we talk about mentorship, we understand that mentorship isn't just something nice to do, it's something that's necessary. We live in a day and age now, particularly post-pandemic, where our kids are suffering with major depression, anxiety, loneliness, sense of well-being. The work that we do is oftentimes people, when they come to and they talk about mentorship, and I don't see what we do as mentorship. I see what we do is similar to what Wilfred said, is this is about society. How are we changing our society? Our kids have challenges that they've never seen before. As parents, as people who care about kids, we're seeing challenges that we've never seen before. And so for us, when we climbed this mountain, it was about a challenge and saying that this is something that scares the hell out of us, and we're gonna do it anyway. And what Wilfred is showing us and what these climbers have shown us is even when there's uncertainty, especially when there's uncertainty, that is when we rush in. When the building is on fire and there's smoke and there's people to be saved, these are the people that I want with me. And so as you hear more about the stuff that we're gonna do, and we're gonna come up with another big adventure to do again, we hope that many of you and your friends and your networks will support us in that, because really we're doing it for something that's bigger than us. Last thing I'll leave you with, there was a porter named Calvin, and Calvin was probably the most, like as soon as you mention his name, people smile. And he sent me something a couple weeks ago, and he's a very spiritual guy. He's a Christian, and his faith is huge for him. And I remember when I first got on the mountain, and we were talking about something, I said, well, I'm gonna try that. And he said, Marcus, hold on a second. He said, try. What is that word? Like, that word doesn't translate in our language. And I'm trying to figure out how to explain try. And basically he said, in our culture, either you do it or you don't. There is no word for try. And so I left that mountain thinking about, what am I gonna do when I get back? No matter how big, no matter how scary, like, we're not in the business of trying. We're in the business of doing, no matter what it is. So today, as you go out, enjoy the flower show, enjoy your day, just remember that our kids and our families in the communities that we serve, they need you to do something, not try something. All right? If we can make that commitment, I think we'll make a better Philadelphia, we'll make a better country. Thank you all.